Hi guys, it's Nikki D the poet here, and I'm back with another author talk. And this talk is basically going to be really quick, really quick and to the point. I'm giving you 5 reasons why your current book is not selling. Coming to the room, coming to the room because I know people. If you're like me, you have of multiple books out, and sometimes that you're wondering like I have so much great material in my book, but unfortunately, it's not selling for some reason. Because I know my poetry was never the problem, but then I had books that weren't selling. And on tonight, real quick, I'm not going to be here very long, but I'm going to let you know why your book is not selling. So feel free to join the live. At some people who you know have books are in the process of writing books because we take the time to write these books. The whole book writing process, the whole book publishing process is very tedious, especially when you're self publishing. And if you want to learn how to self publish your book, you should go ahead and schedule an off the talk with your girl. Um, down below. That link is down below, linktree.com/Nikki D the poet. And I will tell you how to publish your book. My consultation calls do start at $10 for 15 minutes, but there are monthly rates available. So, if you're looking to publish a book, you're in the process of trying to self publish, or if you want to know the difference between self publishing and publishing through a publishing company, because I do have experience with both. So, we can go ahead and run through the pros and cons. If you're stuck in the middle and don't know which one is right for you, feel free to book a consultation call with me. And let's get to the nitty gritty about like here and now that you know some of my credentials. I do currently have 4 books available on Amazon. For the first book was published through a publishing company. The other 3 books I did publish myself, and I will be releasing my 5th book very shortly. So you might want to tune in and follow me on all social media platforms like Nikki D the Poet to hear more about this next book that I am about to drop. Because I promise you, it's going to bless your life because it's been blessing me just writing the book. But why your book is not selling? Number one, your book is not selling because you don't know your audience. So many times we come out as an author, we come out as a poet, you come out as an artist, and we all automatically assume that our closest friends and our closest family is going to be a part of our audience. That's not always the truth. Unfortunately, sometimes our friends, our family, they're not the one who needs to hear our message. Sometimes they don't understand our message. They don't understand the delivery. Or sometimes they're used to seeing you in a certain light. And I struggled with this so much last year. And I thank God for my coach, mentor, friend, Ambition the Poet, because he really helped me a lot because I struggled with this so much last year because I automatically assumed that once I start putting myself out there and branding myself as Nikki the Poet, that my tickets when I did shows, my tickets will sell out because I know so many people. I have so many friends. I have so many family. I have work. I have work friends. I have school. I have high school friends. I have middle school friends. I have college friends. I have girlfriends that I just met. I have people from my church that everybody will automatically just be assumed. So when I dropped this my first book, I'm automatically like, all right, like I knew this. I know this book was gonna sell out. And I think my first book I sold like 10 copies, which is like a little discouraging. So I'm like, oh God, I have this. I wrote this book. I did so much, and now only 10 copies sold. And some people are like, okay, well, you tried to offer things, you only sold 10 copies. No, then Naked came around, and Naked did better because by the time Naked came around, I was more polished as a art. I was more polished as an artist. I had been taking poetry drills by Ambition the Poet, even though neither one of us knew that they were called Poetry Joes yet. So if you need someone to help you with your brand, definitely hit up Ambition the Poet. And I'll drop his. I think he does have flyer. I'll drop the flyers in the comment section when I'm done. So definitely, I would say definitely hit him up. But knowing your audience is like a major key. Like right now, who am I? I'm Nikki D the Poet. I'm nothing but a former shy girl who found her voice through poetry and now uses poetry to help others find their voice. Who is my audience? My audience is one. My audience is twofold. My audience is one, former shy girls like me who was shy but didn't want to tell anyone they were shy, and now we're out here, we have something to say, we have found our voice, so we're out here living in our purpose. That's the first part of my audience. Two, the second fold of my audience is those little shy girls that are still in that corner that are struggling to find their voice. So my poetry is to reach them, to let them know, listen, I was once like you. I was once blending into, hoping just to blend into the background. I was once, as soon as I enter a room, I'm planning multiple ways to exit the room without being seen. I was once in that corner and had this message, had this poetry, had this gift down within, but I was scared that no one would care. So my poetry is to let those people know that, listen, if I can find my voice, you can find yours. If my voice is needed in this world, your voice is needed in in this world. So when I market my books and I sell my books, I'm going to be my marketing strategy is going to be geared to those individuals. So if you notice, everything I post on social media, if you go to my Instagram, everything I post have going off the bat going to have three hashtags. One, well, I'll say probably like five, but I'm not about to give y'all all that because if you want more information about the hashtags I use, you definitely put that off the top. But off the bat, because my audience, and I do apologize for my eyes staring at my allergies. Off the back, my because I know my target audience, when I post anything, I'm going to post three hashtags. One, Nikki D the Poet. Why am I going to hashtag Nikki D the Poet? Because every time you hear that name, I want you to hashtag it, and every time you look up that hashtag, you're going to see me. Two, the Shy Girl Speaks. Why? Because I brand myself as a former shy girl. So everything I post is going to be tied to this image of being a former shy girl. So that's why when you see my face, when you see my logo, which is up at the screen, when you hear Nikki D the Poet, you're gonna automatically associate that with former shy girl. So everything I post has what? Hashtag Nikki D the Poet, hashtag former shy girl, hashtag the shy girl speaks, hashtag former shy girl. So this is my brand. This is my audience. So everything I post is going to be geared towards that audience. And every book that I sell, no matter if because my last book was named Shy Girl Speak, but now I when I promote all of my books, and we're going to get to that a little bit later on in this conversation. When I promote all my books, I use that hashtag. Number two, the second reason why your book isn't selling is because you're selling a product, you're not selling the experience. And this literally just clicked in my head. When did this just clicked in my head a couple of months ago because busy. I was so busy just trying to push product after product after product. I have a t-shirt line, so I'm trying to push that product. I have these books out, so I'm trying to push that product. And I was wondering why people was not basically getting what I was selling, wasn't buying what I was selling. And that's because they didn't really know me. They didn't know the story behind Nikki D the Poet. They didn't know the story behind the shy girl that they see now. They knew, oh, she called herself she has a book called The Shy Girl Speaks. She said something about being naked, having to face the girl in the mirror. She said something about having to return to grace. But they didn't really know me. Right? And while we're selling these books, we have everything that we sell has to be related to our mission, right? Has to come in line with our why. And if you don't know how to market and target your book to fit your why, I would question you to go back to that drawing round and question yourself and ask yourself why you wrote this book to begin with, right? You're selling an experience. It's not just a product. There's multiple poets out here. There are multiple self-love poets out here. What makes me, Nikki D the Poet, stand out for all the other female poets that's out here. And it's not, and I'm not even speaking about bars. I'm not even speaking about talent, because I feel like every poet that's out here is talented in their own way. Their voice is needed. They have their power, and they have an audience that needs their voice. Like multiple self love poets, their audience is not my audience. So you have this untapped market that are waiting for you. And I feel like the a lot of problem is that a lot of problem with trying to market ourselves, right? Is we want people to see us as something to aspire to, right? You want people to want to be like us, but nobody wants someone that's unrelatable, right? They want someone to be like, listen, she went through this struggle, but then she came out on top. And so far too often, we try so hard to hide the ugliness of our story. We have put on this mask for society for so long that we don't want it to show. And I feel like that's the problem, because it's that ugliness, it's the scars that we try so hard to hide that make us more relatable, that makes our book sell. And let me get through the rest of my list, because I have some other things I want to talk to you about. I don't want to be on here too long, and if you can relate to anything I'm saying, and if you feel as though that I can help you in any way, feel free to book an author talk. The link is linktree.com/Nikki D the Poet, and we definitely can help you out. I definitely can help you out. The third reason why your book isn't selling, you have untapped resources. You have stuff that you haven't even considered for marketing your book. Now, what you mean right now, Facebook. If you have a book out and your Facebook friends don't know that you have a book out, what are you doing? What are you doing? You like, what you mean? What you mean? Even if you had a book that came out a year ago, you should still be plugging that book. Because why? We have, like me, I get new friend requests every day. Your circle expands every day, and it may not expand because of poetry. You may have networking for different areas. Like me, I don't just do poetry. I don't just talk about my books. Now I'm getting into graphic designs. I'm getting into consultation. Some people, if you're really persuasive, may even get me to do your hair. So that isn't necessarily like a book conversation. But if you're on my social media, no matter what platform, it be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, um TikTok, I'm plugging my book at least. Like, I honestly, I probably should be plugging it more, but I know at least once a week I'm dropping a flyer. I literally made this promo flyers for all of my books with basically my picture, the book cover, and a little summary of the book, as well as the locations of where you can find the book. And I'm dropping that for every book at least once a week. I'm finding content within my book. Meaning, what do you mean? What you mean finding content within your book? Just take last week for example. Last week I hosted a whole single moms panel. In the book The Shy Girl Speaks, I have a poem dedicated to single moms. So that's what I mean, where you can find platforms and you can find topics within your book that's not necessarily like related to your that's not necessarily saying, hey, this is a book reading, but hey, this is a conversation. I talked about this in my book, and I want to hop on live to have a conversation about that. I do. And I don't know if you guys notice, I do that a lot of my lives. I start off with a book reading or doing a presentation of my book, because one, I'm selling that book. Two, I want you to know that, like, I have something more to say about the topic. I'm engaging with my audience about that book. And then three, and this is funny because this is really how the Behind the Sanders show that I do right now, with other artists came about, because I remember I was just doing Behind the Stanzas for me, and it started back in October when I did a series for domestic violence abuse month, right? And I did a series, Missy, talking about the different types of domestic violence. And what I would do is I would post the poetry videos, and then like later I would post the poetry videos on Saturday, and then I believe even Monday or Tuesday I would go do like a behind the stanzas just to talk about it. And I feel like that really boosted I feel like that really boosted my sales because, again, going back to what we said before, you're selling experience. You're not just selling a product. And so many times we go to these open mics and we have these performances, and all we are given is these 3 to 5 minutes to spit our piece. And then some people, they can connect it with your words, but then some people really need to take time to digest it and to hear the deeper meaning behind it. Says some people, some of the similes or the metaphors may fly over their head, like, and that's okay. But wait, sorry, when you take the time to do these lives, you giving your chance to talk about your piece, and just giving the opportunity to connect with your audience a little more. Or number 4, and this was a biggie for me, and I learned this the hard way. The 4th reason why your book isn't selling is because you're overwhelming your audience with products. You mean, what do you mean? I'm giving my story from last year, and and that's why when I say this, I stop bragging like, yeah, I put out 3 books in 1 year, because I'm thinking it's like a bragging right, it's like a badge win. In reality, that was dumb as hell. And I would never do that again. And I would never suggest anyone to do that again. And you're like, why? You get all these products out here. You get all these, your message is being caused. No. Dropping out 3 books in 1 year was the biggest and the most stupidest thing I ever did in my career, because I didn't give my books enough chance to breathe. Right? So I dropped off Naked. I put out Naked, right? And then I had the one release for Naked, right? And then before I can even get that buzz up about Naked, literally I'm looking, because right now Naked just turned 1 a couple weeks ago, and then I was already talking about another book, right? That was publishing in March. That's 3 months. And by the time I put out that other book, people were already hyped about this new thing, this Shy Girl Speaks, that they didn't even get a chance to think about Naked. And then, like me, it's like, okay, Naked is out. I did the book signing. Okay, now I'm working on the Shy Girl Speaks. Now my focus is on promos for the Shy Girl Speaks, when my focus should be on doing a book tour for Naked. My focus should have been on, like, because I this is, well, 2020, the pandemic or whatever, but my focus should have been on going on lives like I'm telling you to do about Naked, hopping out open mics about Naked, doing more than one book signing, because everyone didn't come to that book signing because it was come to that book signing because it was a snowstorm. So I could have did a virtual book signing for Naked. I was so much stuff I couldn't do, and Naked is so jam packed. Because even right now, right now, it's still so much stuff that I didn't, so much material and Naked, so many poems and Naked that I never put out videos for, so many poems and Naked that needs to be discussed. Is a conversation to have it. And that's the thing about these poetry books, is like we would take the time to put out these poetry books, but like I don't know about other poets. I can't speak for them, but I know for me, I like my pieces to be conversation starters, right? I don't want to be a poet that's just writing, right? I have this poem that says, I'm a poet far more complex than the roses being red, than the violets being blue. For what is a poet if they don't challenge the inner demon in you? What is a poem? And if you hear it and me reading the same. So I write my poetry and I compose these books in a way where it tells a story in a way where it wants to evoke change. And if it doesn't evoke change, I need to write them to be a conversation starter. So a lot of my pieces in my book, that I'm writing, and in these past books, can be conversation pieces to have a topic. Like I did in Naked, there was a poem called Church Hurt, and I had multiple lives around surrounding this, about church hurt, about what exactly is church hurt, what to do after you've been hurt by the church, how to get that relationship with God after you've been hurt by the church, and then actually going to do a church. I'm actually going to do a church hurt conference. I'm actually going to do a church hurt conference. So I'm saying this to say that these poems can turn into so much to give you that one-on-one experience, to give you that connection with your audience that you need, that's going to be able to sell your books. Because even if they, yes, Nolan.
My papa come here toothless.
Okay, go, because I'm alive. connect with your audience to sell this book, because again, we're not just selling this product, we're not just selling the book. I'm not just up here trying to pitch these off the charts. I'm selling a whole experience. And then another thing that we can do is offer some behind the scenes. And I realized I don't really do that. So I started doing that more with my videos, because people like to see the behind the scenes, even if you think you look silly. Because I remember one video I posted was just me singing to Megan Thee Stallion, which I always do when I do my makeup. But it's those little videos of you being human that's going to actually help sell your book, help expand your brand, because people like someone they can relate to, right? And the last thing I want to touch on before I hop off this live, and the very, very most important thing you need to ask yourself is, do you believe? You cannot sell something, you cannot sell anything that you don't believe in, right? So if I have naked, so I have naked facing the girl in the mirror, and the whole thing about naked is like, it's this girl, right? She's going on this journey, and she's out here, she's an adult, and she came into 2020 like, yeah, 2020 about to be my year. 2020, I'm about to ask all this stuff about off my bucket list. 2020, I'm about to run shit, right? And she's like, but she realized that while she's on this journey to become this great defined woman, that she don't even know who she is, right? She realized that what she sees staring back at her when she look in the mirror, what she sees is just a replication of what society is telling her that she has to be. What she sees isn't even her true self. What she sees isn't really what she wants to be. So she's at this crossroad of, how do she get to this other side? How do she get to this beautiful healed woman who's living her best life, right? And she has to go through this journey. Now, if I'm trying to tell people about this journey, right, and I don't believe it, how am I going to sell that? How am I going to sell that to someone, right? Let's take another example. The Shy Girl Speaks. The Shy Girl Speaks is about the person when she comes out of this journey. When she comes out of the journey and she realized that she realized for far too long she has this voice inside of her, right? That has been brewing and brewing and brewing for years, and has finally spilled out. And she's like, oh my God, I have something to say. I have a voice. There's power behind my voice, and the world is going to get this message no matter what. Now, if I don't believe that wholeheartedly, I'm not going to be able to sell that to nobody. And I'm from Philly, right? And I feel like once you're born in Philly, you know how to spot a fraud, right? It's in our bloodline how to spot a fraud. So if you're putting on the front, if you're not being real, you're not being authentic, your audience is going to see that. Your audience is not going to want to buy your book. Your audience is not going to connect with your brand at all. And they're going to chew you out. So while we're composing these books, it's very, very important to be able to see it on everything in these books 10 toes down. And whatever message that you're trying to convey in the book, make sure that you yourself believe in that message too, and you yourself believe in it first. Because if you can't even sell yourself on a book, how are you going to try to sell it to someone else, right? So just to recap, I'm gonna run it through real quick. And if this live was helpful and you're looking for more help or more personalized conversation, feel free to schedule off the salt today. Linktree.com/Nikki D the Poet. And for those who just joined, I'm about to wrap up this live really quickly and just run through real quick for the 5 things that we talked about on today. 5 reasons why book no selling. Number 1, you need to know your audience. Number 2, realize that you're selling an experience and not just a product. Number 3, tap into all your resources. And there's something else I wanted to say about tapping into all your resources, because we'll be on these social medias, but not even utilizing it to its fullest capacity. Like there has like take Instagram for example. I was on Instagram, and when the Reels thing first came out, I'm like, oh, like that's cute, but I ain't I ain't finna do that. Like that's cute, but I don't really see how it coordinates with me. And then Ambition was like, "Yo, you gotta do a reels because the reels is gonna help more people connect with your brand." So I did a reel, and I think it was just like something it was like an old video I had that was promoting the Shot Girl Seats. So I put that joint on there, and within 1 week I had like 5 book sales. I'm like, yo, that crap really be working. Like the stuff you don't think have an impact. Like I was on Clubhouse and someone's like, I was on Clubhouse and he was like, get on TikTok. I'm like, well, I'm not about to sit up here doing no challenges or whatever. But like I got sales from TikToks, and then they like, oh, if you have a clothing line, get on Pinterest. Like, so get in, and this one I can say, like, getting around people that's gonna help benefit you. Like, so many people, so many times where in these circles and they don't have anything but weekend plans. Like, and I feel like that was one of my biggest things is I have to change my circle. And once I changed my circle, my mindset began to change because I was around winners. Get you somebody like Ambition the Poet. And I know y'all gonna get tired of hearing me say his name, and you're like, why is you always hyping him? Because literally, like everything I know is literally what he taught me. Like he got me around people. He got me around people and gave me the tools to boss up, right? And you need to get you someone like that. You need to have a coach. First of all, you need to have someone who's been doing like he built the brand from the bottom up, so he knows the way. Like I built the brand, I built the brand with his help, and like and it's different type of people. Like, and he's the type of person that's willing to help and to pour into you if you're willing to put in the work. Like me, I'm willing to pour into you and to help you if you're willing to put in the work. So it's very very important. And it's not to say that you have to kick the current people out your life because my friends didn't go anywhere. They didn't go anywhere. But I I think it's very important to put people in certain territories. I'm not going to have a business conversation with my friend because they're not going to know how to move. They're not business minded, and so many times we tell our business plan to to people who are not business minded. They don't have these credentials, and then they run down the list of reasons why we can't do it, and then we put that business plan on the shelf. And it's like, no, the problem is not the plan. The problem is you're so busy listening to people and having people pour into your spirit that never been through this. Like if you're a business owner, if you're not a business owner, you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me how to run my business. How are you going to tell me how to market my book if you never wrote a book yourself? You can give your suggestions, but like what good is your suggestion? Then that's the problem. Like we let so many haters without credentials stop us from achieving our greatness, and that's something we're not going to do in 2021. You're going to ask a hater for their credentials before you tell me how to run some of my business. Let me see how many launches have you successfully had before you tell me what I should say and a poem or how I should be branding it. Let me see your successful branding before you tell me about my website and all the mistakes about my website that I built from the ground up, about my graphic design business. Let me see what flyers you made. Let me see what success you had because if you're successful, I am all open to criticism. I am all open to learning if you're successful. But like if you're not successful in your field, honey, honey, how are you going to tell me what to do in mine? I need you to stay in your lane. So that's what we need to start telling people in 2021. I'm gonna need you to stay in your lane because I'm gonna get me a coach that has success. I'm gonna get me a coach that knows what she's doing. I'm gonna get me a coach that has published books, right? I'm gonna get me a coach that 2 years ago you didn't know who Nikki D the Poet was, but I bet you know who Nikki D the Poet is now. And if you don't know, honey, you're gonna learn soon, right? So stop letting these people without credentials tell you what you can and can't do. Back to the list. The fourth reason why your book is not selling is because you're overwhelming your audience with products. If you have a book launch, if you have a book launch, you should start promoting that book. People should know that your book is coming out. There's so many products. Like I have a book that's coming out in April. My book is coming out in April. So right now, you're gonna see me start to move a little different. You're gonna see me start to move towards promoting this book because it's all a part of my marketing strategy for this book. You're gonna see um you're gonna see the amount of lives that I personally doing decrease if it's not directly in line with this book. You're gonna see me strategically doing open mics to promote my book. Strategically I'm getting interviews to promote my book. Strategically sharing articles around the topic concerning my book. Strategically putting together panels with people who are expertise in the topics that are on my book. So it's all about the before strategy. And this is something brand new that I'm trying with this book that honestly I didn't do with the other books. Like I didn't have a strategy in mind when promoting a book. I was just like, oh, I have this poetry, I have this story, and I'm just gonna get it out here. But while we're putting in all this work, we're putting in all these hours, we definitely want to make sure that these books are in the right hands. And the fifth reason and the most important reason, and if you don't take anything from what I have been saying for the last 3 minutes, the number one reason why your book is not selling is because you don't believe. You need to believe in yourself, first of all. You have to believe in yourself to know that you have a purpose, right? And to know that you have an audience, you have a voice that only can reach your audience. You have to believe in your brand. You have to believe in your why. And you have to believe in the stuff that you're in the poems that you're putting in this book, or even if you're just an author, you have to believe in the story. Because if you don't believe in the story, you're definitely not going to believe, and you're definitely not going to get others to believe. So if you don't believe, you can't get others to believe. Thank you so much for everyone who took the time out on your Sunday night. I know you can be having fun in the snow, or admiring the snow, or curling up with a good book, right? Or just watch catching a movie with your family. So I do appreciate you taking the time out to tune into this live, and everyone who's going to catch the replay. If you're writing a book and you're stuck, or if you don't know where to start, if you're struggling with whether I should self-publish or go through a publishing company, feel free to schedule your author talk with me, linktree.com/Nikki the Poet. My consultation calls starts off at $10 for 15 minutes. I do have hourly rates if that's something you're interested in as well as monthly rates, because let's check becoming an author off your bucket list this year. Thank you guys so much, and until next time, Shy Girl Speaks.